Hey, I'm Bree, and this is my sister Jules. I'm an English teacher.
And I'm productive AF today.
And together we drink wine as we unpack the brilliant writing of the hit 90s sitcom Boy Meets World. Cheers.
Cheers.
What are we drinking?
We've got a special wine today, a wine that I picked up myself on my recent trip to, believe it or not, Hermann, Missouri. Did you know that Hermann, Missouri is a wine country?
I'm finding myself still wondering if it is or not, having tried this wine.
Yeah, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know, man.
So, this wine, this is a 2020 Estate Norton by Adam Puchta, which is a very well-known winery in Hermann, Missouri. It is actually the oldest continuously family-owned winery in the United States. Huh. It's been family-run since its inception in 1855. Wow. That's 169 years of operation and 7 generations. Can you imagine the pressure of being a grandkid expected to run this thing? You can't be the first to... Yeah, you can't be the first to, like, bow out.
It tastes like it's 169 years old.
In a bad way?
I don't like it. I'm sorry.
What is it about it you don't like?
It tastes like I entered the film Indiana-Jones, and I've licked an urn. Yeah, that's it. Period.
God, the images are so vivid and so accurate. It is almost painful. Oh, you're right. It's
right?
Yeah, it tastes musty.
Like it tastes like Halloween decorations. But like specifically that weird material that movie monster masks are made of.
I hate the smell of those. Oh, like a Scream mask.
Yes,
I remember
it tastes like a Scream mask.
It totally tastes like a Scream mask.
Right?
You hit the nail on the head. I'm utterly amazed by you. It's a Scream mask.
Oh my God, the fact that you're agreeing with me is making me so happy. Because I feel so seen right now.
Yeah, no, you're so right. But the tasting notes are supposed to include a bouquet of cherry, tobacco, and dark chocolate on the nose with rich fruit reminiscent of dark plums on the palate.
LOL. No. That reads like ChatGPT was like, what is red wine supposed to taste like?
I'm with you. But I do want to say I went to a lot of wineries in Hermann, Missouri, and I was very impressed by the culture of wineries, and I had a lot of amazing wine. And there's a really beautiful like German culture there. It was a wonderful town, and I like a hidden gem of like a Midwestern wine country, which I didn't even know existed. And it also taught me a lot about the Norton grape. Are you familiar with that grape?
No.
It is a grape that is only grown in North America, specifically in the Midwest and Virginia. A lot of wineries in the States, except California, will use Norton grapes.
This is becoming an actually educational podcast where we might actually teach people things about wine.
I highly recommend if you live in the States and you want to visit a wine country that's not Napa Valley, Hermann, Missouri is a great place to go visit. Still tastes like rubber mask, but I can drink it.
On with the show. This week, we watched Season 1, Episode 17, The Fugitive. Synopsis: Sean's careless use of a cherry bomb threatens his friendship with Corey. Air date February 25th, 1994. Written by Jeff C. Sherman. Did we have Jeff Sherman before? I don't remember.
I don't remember that name.
Yeah. Directed by David Trainer. Viewers. This was the lowest number of viewers in the whole season. 14.9 million.
Ooh, that's very low. Yeah. Comparatively.
I know. What were your first impressions?
My very first impression was they seem to be making light of a very serious storyline. But it got more serious at the end. So I was like, okay. But I thought at the beginning, I was like, this is kind of serious for Sean. He's kind of like, he messed up big time.
My first impression is I thought that they did a good job of like riding the line between him doing something super destructive and scary and dangerous and not really. Like, yes, that's not good to put a bomb in a mailbox.
It is a felony to like tamper with mail. So that's like obviously a big deal, but it's not like he's like evil.
Like, I wonder how long the writers bounced ideas around. Like, what are we going to have Sean do that's like almost crossing the line, right? Because that was kind of one of the themes of the episode, like the line and where's the line and come back on my side, which I loved. And my second first impression as an English teacher, I really enjoyed the reference to the Telltale Heart.
Did not read that. Surprise! Surprise! Surprise!
It was just another one of those moments where I thought about Ben Savage as a person and his education as an actual kid during the time that he's doing this show, and just wondering if he was going to school or if he had a tutor, and if his tutor was teaching him the Telltale Heart at that time. Like, again, if I was a teacher, I would totally do that. I'd be like, cool, what's the episode this week? All right, let's learn about the Telltale Heart. You know, that's what you're going to have to like, you know, interact with this week. So the episode starts off with a thunderstorm, and Corey wants to go outside and play baseball. His dad comes in from the rain and like is shaking the rain out of his hair, and Corey's like, "Hi, Dad," and Alan's like, whoa, what, baseball in this storm? I don't think so. Corey's like, "Dad, it's just a drizzle." Thunder. A thundery, stormy kind of drizzle. Forget it, wise guy, find something to do around here. Then Corey's like, he's in his bedroom now, and he's like, my life bites. Boring, predictable, never a surprise. And he's in his bedroom, and the lights are off, and he's about to turn on the light switch, and he gets a hand on his shoulder, and Sean's all wet, and he's in there, and he goes, "Don't turn on the lights. The cops are after me. Maybe even the FBI. You're not involved unless you want to be." Thunder. Pause, drama, suspense. Corey, I'm in. And theme music.
A little danger in your life. Are you in?
We get back. We're back in the scene after the theme song, and Sean's like, "You can't tell anybody that I'm here." And Corey's like, right. So how'd you get in here anyway? And Sean says, "I climbed up the tree into your window. I didn't want anyone to see me." And like that kind of just went by the audience, but it wasn't lost on me. I was like, LOL, like everyone probably saw you. Like you're in a neighborhood. Like someone probably saw you climb up that tree. And sure enough, Feeney did see him climb up the tree. And we will find out later that that's how all the adults know, which is another first impression of mine. I love the way this show allows the kids to have a story and an experience, but it never makes the adults idiots.
Yes. You know? It's realistic, and it's also consistent with the parents, because they're so involved in their kids' lives, and because they're so involved, they should be aware of this. Like they should know if like he's smuggling a whole human in their bedroom, you know, and they do.
Sean's like, "Corey, I'm a fugitive." And Corey's like, "Fugitive? Cool, give me details." And Sean's like, "Okay, you remember that cherry bomb?" And I was like, wait, like, is he talking about an actual cherry bomb? Like,
what is a cherry bomb?
It's a metal ball, and then it has like the,
is that what that is?
Wick on the top. Yeah, it looks like a cherry. But I'm like, is this a kid cherry bomb, or is this like an actual cherry bomb?
Oh, it's an exploding firework.
So that's like a little
bit not crazy.
Yeah. Not crazy, especially like as someone who lives in Brooklyn and has literally seen people like shooting off fireworks at cars passing by. Like, I'm like, yeah, this checks out. Like an adolescent with a firework. Yeah, no,
that's not super harmful. That definitely checks out.
I mean, it is, but it's like not the craziest thing. I've never, I'm not like, what, criminal. But I do appreciate that shows in the 90s did take these things seriously. And, I definitely was fully brainwashed by these shows. I was like, cool, so this is what's right, this is what's wrong.
Media propaganda like that works.
It does.
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Sean says, "Remember that cherry bomb?" Corey says, "Oh no, Feeney found it. You're suspended. Nothing good ever happens to me."
Yeah, wait, what? I didn't get that.
Like he like being suspended would mean you don't have to go to school, so I guess it's a good thing. And Sean's just like, all day I kept feeling it in my pocket, all round and waxy, just begging me to light it. I mean, I could actually hear it saying, light me, Sean, blow something up."
This
course,
goes back to him talking about the hamburger. He's like, I don't know if this is a mental thing or what did he say?
I don't know if this is like a personality disorder or what.
Yeah, it is, Sean.
I have to hand it to Jeff. Was this his name? Jeff Sherman? Jeff C. Sherman. I have to hand it to him. I actually noticed a couple of moments where he referenced things that had been said in the past. Like Alan has a moment where he says, I don't know, I'm here in a room with you. And that was a line that we had gotten in the past. This is a reference to the way Sean was during that scene. It's like I feel like he really meticulously had been like paying attention and watching those episodes and deciding like how he was going to write this based on the things that he picked up on that he thought were most interesting about the characters. And I do agree that we loved that moment with Sean. And it was like the first time that we really got to learn who Sean actually is. And this was like a good deeper dive into that aspect of his personality that's like most entertaining for us. So very cool job. Corey's like, well, what did you blow up? Sean's like, well, I was riding my bike down K Street. And Corey's like, you blew up K Street? Sean's like, I park at Market Giant. Corey's like, you blew up Market Giant? That's my dad's store. I have mixed feelings. Sean's like, but there on the ground by the shopping carts, a matchbook. It was like a sign, saying, now, Sean, now, let the sucker blow. Corey's like, so you're holding the lit cherry bomb. Sean's like, I don't remember lighting it. But suddenly, there it was in my hand, sparks flying off the fuse. And suddenly, I realize this thing's going to go off. I mean, I could lose an eye, lose an arm, wind up looking like our shop teacher. Corey's like, so why didn't you just throw it? Now I want to know the story of this shop teacher. What happened?
An eye and an arm.
And Sean's like, there were people all around. See, the writing is very careful. There were people all around. I could have hurt somebody. I just knew I had to get it far, far away. So I mailed it. That's such a cartoon mindset. Like, I'll just mail it. It'll be sent off.
Problem solved.
Instantaneously. It'll just bloop. That's how mail works. Corey's like, you blew up a United States mailbox? Sean's like, well, it's still standing, although the sides did puff out like a fat guy burping.
I love these visuals. It's such a clear picture of what happened.
All the stuff inside got torched, though. You should have seen the flames and the freaked out look on the people's faces. But he gets this like maniacal, like sadistic, like, I liked it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to hurt people, but he does so it's a good...
He's on the edge. Yeah, he's on the edge of the line.
Such good writing. Sean's like, I think I shook the cops. What do I do now? I can't go home. Why not? It wasn't like you did it on purpose, Corey says. And Sean's like, look, I did it. That's the only part my old man's going to hear. I stepped over the line this time. Corey, I'm going to get killed for this. I want to ask you, do you agree with Corey when he says it's not like you did it on purpose?
I understand Corey's perspective on that because Sean just explained that he didn't mean to blow up the mailbox on purpose. He didn't light that to put it in the mailbox. He, in a panic, was like, what do I do with this? Mailbox, I see you. Throw it in there. But, he obviously did light it on purpose. Unless, Corey really understands his friend Sean and that Sean, has a compulsive need to do things like this. And he said he doesn't remember doing it. So maybe on some level... Corey understands that and was like, well, it's not on purpose. You just have a disorder.
Well, that's the other thing I want to ask. And this is something I'd probably bring up with my students. What do you think that as a society that has a goal to keep everyone safe should do about people who have impulses like this, who just have this kind of mentality of like Sean says, I blacked out. I don't remember doing it.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's a thing that people really experience, or that everyone who says that is lying and that actually we always know what we're doing? Or and if you do think it's something that's we are capable of, what do we do about that?
I think the most extreme example is people in psychosis or going through a schizophrenic episode where they commit a horrible crime, worst case scenario, commit a horrible crime and don't remember it at all. Obviously it's not okay. And we need to, remove this person from society to some level so that they can't do that thing anymore. Yeah. But maybe the rehabilitation process looks different.
And if the rehabilitation process, we could cut all this. I'm just really honestly curious to know what you think. Like, if the rehabilitation process is a comfortable process for people where they're provided with food and housing and, and therapy, what do we do about people that want to take advantage of that and actually are fine with being arrested and taken in because it's actually a better life than the one they have out on the streets?
I say we fund it. I'd rather them be there than on the streets.
Yeah.
It's better for everyone, including them, to have shelter and help.
Fair. Do you think that there should be any element of it that is difficult, painful, something that feels punitive?
I would say maybe limitations. Maybe they can't have every freedom in the world. Like, they can't just leave and go out into the society until there's some notable progress. I don't know what that looks like, and that could be different depending on the individual.
Right.
But we have that to a degree in place, but I would say it's severely underfunded or flawed.
All right. So Sean is saying, Corey, I'm going to get killed for this. And Corey says, what are you going to do? And Sean says, you think I could stay here for a couple of days just until I figure things out? And Corey says, fine with me. I'll go ask my mom. And Sean's like, you're really new to this, aren't you? No one can know I'm here, especially not your folks. They'll tell my mom and dad. Sean's like, I'll hide in the closet. Amy calls for dinner. So Sean's like, what do you think? Can I stay? And Corey's like, of course. Now, get out of that wet stuff. Put on some of my clothes. I'll sneak up some food. Remember, I'm your accomplice. I'm accomplice boy. Throwback to last episode when he was risk boy.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that.
Right?
I appreciate that.
Sean says, listen, Cor, and this is another thing that this writer paid attention to. He goes, listen, Cor, you're going downstairs to keep something from your parents. And if it was me, I wouldn't worry. But I know you. You're going to act weird. Attempt to stay cool. Huh? Of course, like, cool. They won't notice a thing. And this is very consistent, right? With Corey during the episode about Amy cheating. He can't lie. Like, he can't. Yeah. And he can't hold it in, you know?
Yeah. Yes. You're so right. And I was thinking about this before we got to this part of the episode where I was like, I can't believe Corey's agreeing to this whole thing because he's like you and you can't lie. You can't hold in a secret to save your life. And this is also like a very big thing to hold in. So I was like, this isn't consistent. But then, it all makes sense later on.
Exactly. Because we cut immediately to, in the kitchen, Corey smiling maniacally at his parents and scooping all of the meatloaf onto his plate. And he goes, Dad, Mom, I have so much homework. Which, just from a writing standpoint, hilarious. Like, who says, Dad, Mom?
Yeah, that's somebody who is spiraling and is so anxious and concerned that he's just...
I'm going to eat in my room and I need fuel. I need lots of fuel. I need enough fuel for 2, although there's only 1 of me, which is so interesting, don't you think? Alan goes, Corey, you're grounded for 2 weeks. Corey's like, what did I do? Alan's like, I don't know, but the way you're behaving, it's got to be 2 weeks. It's got to be at least 2 weeks. And then he goes upstairs and he's got a big plate full of food. Sean comes out and he's wearing Corey's clothes. This wasn't my fashion moment, but
this was
later.
Mine.
This was yours?
Yeah.
Why?
Because 1, it was funny. 2, I was like, this look is like in now, like tighter pants like that.
I know. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, right. Because like their clothes are so baggy in the 90s, and now we love the tight pants.
We love a
short cuff.
We love a mini sweatshirt, like a shrunken sweatshirt on a lanky man.
Yeah,
and so Corey's like, I guess my pants are a little short on you. And Sean's like, no, they fit great. Anyone ever tell you you're built like a chimp? And then Eric comes in. I loved this. Eric comes in. He's like, oh, Corey. And Corey's like, hide. And Eric's like, I think you're pretty smooth, don't you? I know what's going on. Smuggling food, strange noises, the smell in here. Yeah, I tried the same thing once. You're hiding a puppy. Where is he? Come here, puppy. Where's the cute little boy? I thought he was going to say a girl.
I thought he was going to say a puppy. Especially when he said the smell. I was like, he definitely thinks that there's an animal in here.
Because he said, I tried the same thing once. So I think of him as like a ladies' man. So like, oh, he thinks it's cool.
No lady wants him. Why would a lady go up to their room?
The writers are a little bit confused on Eric, I feel, because he's either like a ladies' man and he's kind of like messing with girls and dating like 5 girls at once, or he's like, no one will date me. But maybe that's true to the teen boy experience.
Yeah, but I feel like the more recent theme of these episodes is he sucks at dating and no woman wants him. Because in the beginning, he had pretty good luck. Like, he dated that girl where
Linda.
they had that whole... Yeah, Linda.
I loved her.
them.
I know.
And after that, that was it. Oh, yeah, and Feeney's niece, yes.
Who's gorgeous.
He had good luck. And I think... I have a feeling that was, like, the original intention of the brother, of just kind of like the model older brother who's like really cute and a bit jockey and gets the ladies and stuff. But that's kind of boring and been there, done that. So I think they were like, we're going to switch it up. And he's going to be an idiot and he's going to be hilarious and he's going to have zero luck with the ladies.
Cora's like, okay, Eric, you're right.
I did not understand the plot point that Morgan's bathroom was locked. Why is it locked? I was so hung up on that I like didn't pay attention to the rest of the scene. I was like, why is it locked?
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, all right, so get a credit card and like get it open. Like, what are you doing?
So we're never going to go in that room ever again. It's locked forever.
So then we're in the classroom and Topanga and Minkus and Corey are already in the classroom and Feeney's not there yet. And Topanga is talking to Minkus and she says, I think Sean was making a daring political statement.
I think that is a very interesting thing to say on this specific day, where I literally just read in the news that somebody set a mailbox on fire that had ballots in the mail. It was specifically a mailbox for ballots, and somebody set it on fire.
I can't believe it took this long for you to bring that up.
This happened in Oregon, I think.
I just wondered what Topanga was saying. Like, what political statement are you making by blowing up a mailbox? It's not election season because it was Valentine's Day like a few weeks ago. Minkus says, and what statement was that? Build more prisons? That's like really dark considering the current situation we have in our country with what's going on with our prisons. I thought it was such a Minkus thing to say, and it's him literally just targeting Sean and being like, Sean's a criminal, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it totally fits Minkus's profile.
So Corey says, you guys don't know anything about it. And then Feeney has been listening to all of this, and he does his like Feeney teacher, like, I know everything, but I'm going to pretend like I don't know anything thing. And he's like, I'm sorry I'm late. I see you've all heard about Mr. Hunter's little stunt yesterday. I just spoke with his parents. Evidently, Sean didn't come home last night. I imagine no one here has heard from him. Cora's like, me? What makes you think I heard from Sean? Feeney says, I was addressing the entire class. Corey's paranoia is showing, and we're setting up for the telltale heart. Now then, we shall continue reading aloud from page 157, Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. His reading is impeccable. What an actor. Ugh, incredible. If he was my English teacher, I don't even think I'd be an English teacher because I'd be like, I could never be what he was for me. He goes, they heard, they suspected, they knew. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, hark again, louder, louder, louder. Mr. Matthews, anything wrong?
So I don't know what this is about. Is it a novel or a short story?
It's a short story, and it's about a man who murders and dismembers somebody. And it's his own paranoia that drives him to do this. So it's like the old man's eye is like watching him, and he needs the eye to stop looking at him, and so he murders him. And then he's like imagining that he's hearing the beating heart of the dead man. And he like can't stop hearing the beating heart, and he thinks that the heart is going to give away that he's murdered him. And if he's like, shut up, like the heart, like it's, you know, but it's really creepy.
This seems similar to The Raven in a little bit. Was he paranoid? Was he like a paranoid schizophrenic?
Probably.
Diagnosed, or maybe undiagnosed at the time. I don't know if that was
a
word back then. I'm chatting with chat.
You can't trust that everything it's saying is right, because it's just getting information from anywhere on the internet. So like students will, you know, have ChatGPT come up with like quotes from the story that we read, and they're just like, it's not actually a quote from the book. Like it's just not correct. And what'll happen is once AI starts like teaching itself with the content that it is creating, and it becomes like a positive feedback loop kind of thing, it's going to be completely unreliable. And it already kind of is, but it's just, complete BS. I had a moment in class the other day where we were talking about the kite runner, and the students were like, which character was born first? I started flipping back to the beginning, and one of them was like, just Google it. And I was like, no. And they were like, why? And I was like, because I don't know if it's right. Like, it's going to give me an answer, and we're going to think that that's the answer, but we don't really know if that's correct. So Amy, we're back in the bedroom, and Amy is vacuuming and singing a song. Oh, what was that song that she was singing?
Oh, I don't remember.
It's Patsy Cline, You Made Me Love You, adding it to the Spotify playlist.
Yes.
We have that, guys. Listen to it. And she's vacuuming and she's hitting Sean in the head because he's under the bed with the vacuum. Corey comes in and I checked outside the store. I didn't see it anywhere. So Amy comes out and she's like, see what? And Corey's like, Italy. I didn't see Italy. I didn't see France. I didn't see anybody's underpants.
So silly.
And Amy's like, consider yourself lucky. I did the laundry, and while I was putting it away, I discovered a little something you've been hiding. You organized your closet.
I wanted to call out the unbelievably hilarious and amazing camera work that happened in that moment where Corey thought he was busted, and the camera like very quickly zooms into his face and then zooms down to his heart, like showing how like fast his heart beating. It was just such a comical camera move that I watched it like 3 times in a row because I thought it was so funny and so unexpected. Like, we don't see camera moves like that in a sitcom, and they did that, and I was like, it like kind of took me out of the scene, but I didn't care because it was so funny.
That's hilarious. I love that you're paying attention to the camera work and I'm paying attention to the writing because that's awesome. And it's clearly, we're keeping this motif of the telltale heart in there. And, the idea behind the Poe piece is that like perhaps and most likely it's the man himself, his own heart beating. But he's like kind of hallucinating that it's the dead man's heart that I believe is under the floorboard because he's like dismembered this man's body and then like buried his parts. Gross. So he thinks it's like knocking against the floorboards, but it's his own heart that's beating. Same thing with the raven saying like nevermore, like it could be just the raven going, but he's hearing nevermore. So Corey tells him that Feeney said, your parents came by school. And Sean's like, you didn't say anything, did you? Corey's like, well, he was working me. All right. But I was a stone. Alan calls up to Corey and Corey's immediate response is, yeah, I'm alone.
You are so him. It's so funny.
So Sean hides and he like very serious is like, I fear for my life because he does not trust that Corey's going to keep his mouth shut. And Alan asks him how his day is and Corey's like, quit pumping me. I know nothing. And Alan's like, well, I had a lousy day. You see, yesterday I put about 26 bills in the mailbox outside my store. And today I find out that, well, you know the rest. That's so annoying.
What? Okay. How, like, what's included in the bills? I'm not paying 26 bills. I don't think.
Well, he's talking about his store. Like he's paying the bills for the store.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Stores
and you might not even know what bills you did or didn't do because there's 26 of them and it's all on paper.
Everything's going to be all messed up. You're not going to have the stock that you need. You're not going to make the sales that you need to make for that week. You're not going to make the money that you need to make. You're not going to be able to pay your employees. This is a huge issue. This is why it's a felony. It is a huge issue.
Yeah, why it's a felony. And I like that they like mentioned that at the very, very end in the button of like, here are the repercussions of this.
Exactly. This is
things you wouldn't even think about.
I kind of wish that it was a little bit part of the lesson that Feeney taught in class. Like, here's how that became a law. Back in 18 whatever, someone did this. And, so Corey says, I heard something along the lines of a mailbox natural disaster. The glue on those stamps is highly flammable. And then he goes on, when I was growing up, there was a kid in my neighborhood who was a lot like Sean. Always getting into trouble. Small things at first, shoplifting, candy, letting air out of tires. But pretty soon he got kind of bored, moved on to more serious stuff, more dangerous. Corey's like, Dad, Sean's not like that. And Alan says, I don't know. I think he is. And if he were here right now, I'd come down on him very hard. And then he sits on the bed really hard. And you just hear Sean go, ugh. And when Sean moans, Corey's like, that meatloaf. And Alan says, because what Sean did was irresponsible and dumb. And Corey's like, why are you telling me this? And Alan's like, because you need to know that if you ever do anything wrong, you can always come home. I don't care how bad it is. It can never be as bad as not coming home.
Such an important thing to hear. So no matter what you do, I want you to feel comfortable coming to about whatever it is.
Right.
Above all things, like, I don't want you to hold anything from me, which like establishes trust.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a very important lesson for him to learn and kids in general to learn.
I kind of thought it was a little bit of a lesson to some parents, like Sean's parents. Like, if you're the kind of parent who's so hard on your kid that your kid can't even come home if they make a mistake, this is what's going to happen. Your kid's not going to come home. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the writing in this episode was actually like top notch.
It's very good. And this is like one of the first more serious episodes. I think the serious episodes we've had so far are the one with Linda, and then this one I think have been like very serious.
I just loved that we were back. Like, Feeney was who he should have been. Like, he was teaching them poetry and, you know, teaching them lessons and being wise. I mean, the scene with the canvas was lovely. Like, I love the dynamic between Corey and Sean. I love that Sean is kind of this bad boy and Corey keeps him on one side of the line.
Yeah.
And I love that that was explicit in this episode. It was talked about and acknowledged.
Yeah.
And I love this message. You're totally right. That you need to come home. Alan says, fine, because I don't care how tight a spot you're in. And he sits on the bed again. Here, we're here for you. Deal? Deal. The only thing I wondered about is, you know, I was wondering if he was telling Sean he can go home, or if he was telling Corey he can come home. And then if Sean was under the bed going, man, I wish I had a dad like Corey's dad, because I don't feel like I can go home, you know? And it was doing was making Sean feel worse about the fact that his best friend has this like privileged family life that he doesn't have.
Yeah, I kind of wish that he addressed that, Sean.
Yeah.
Like, saying something like, you know, you're really lucky you have parents that look out for you that way, or I really should have trusted my parents, or like whichever way it would go. Yeah. I think it would have been good to address that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I think his parents were not important to the episode at all.
Yeah.
For the most part. And I think they should be.
Yeah, it's like Sean had all the drama, but like Corey's plot line was still front and center.
Yeah.
And his growth and maybe that's happened.
Yeah. I don't know when we start to see development of other characters' lives expanded, but right now it's very still centralized on the Matthews family.
I have to say they did a good job of not like othering Sean too much. Like, I did feel like Sean was humanized.
Yes.
But he was a side plot in Corey's journey to learning that his family will support him no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like if Sean hasn't at this point been considered like a super main character, he definitely is at this point. Like, he's in it. He's in it for the long haul for the duration of this series.
Sean is 100% my favorite character. Like, I just think his story arc is so interesting. I think he's just he's my favorite character.
I don't know who my favorite is yet. I
mean, I love Feeney, of course. It's all about the journey that Sean takes that I just find so interesting. When Sean comes out from under the bed. So Alan leaves. When Sean comes out from under the bed, he's like, oh, your dad really hurt me. And Corey's like, that stuff he said. And Sean's like, no, he sat on my head. The way he said it was really cute. And Corey's like, you know, Sean, I bet if we explained to my dad how this happened, he could talk to your dad. And see, this is where Corey's naivete comes in, right? Like, he's like, it's dad's, you know, every dad's like my dad, right? Like, he'll understand, it's fine. Or like, my dad will fix it. My dad will just say the right thing and you know, it'll all be good. Like, Corey can't understand what it's really like for Sean. You know, this is making me think about that episode with their money. Corey's just coming from that very privileged mindset where you have blinders on and you just can't possibly get what it's like to not have a parent that would just want you to come home, you know? And I believe Sean when he feels like he can't go home. Like I really was scared for his life. Like and when Sean said like my dad's gonna kill your dad on the way to me, I believed him. In the end, it was fine. He just got like grounded for a really long time. But I think that was a little bit of a way of the show for just not getting too serious, you know, because then it's like not fun anymore.
Yeah.
But
like
yeah.
also maybe he did have like a horrible time going home, and then the grounding was like what happened at the end of that. Like something horrible might have happened. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like maybe that did happen, but
Yeah.
you know, the show didn't get into it.
And it was a month, so he had time to recover.
Yeah. And he's used to it, so he's back to his old Sean self.
Right.
You know.
I love him so much. So Corey tries to convince him. Sean says, Corey, all our lives, we've done these little things, but we've always stayed on this side of the line that separates the little bad from the big bad, the line I blew up with my cherry bomb. And Corey says, Sean, you're wrong. Watch, I'll prove it to you. Dad. And Sean leaves. So now we're back in the kitchen. Alan says that Mr. Feeney saw Sean sneak in yesterday. Someone did see him climb up the tree, and he phoned us to let us know. And then Corey goes, it's a conspiracy. An international adults hotline. Any kid anywhere makes a move, the phones are ringing. It's so true. He says, wait, you guys didn't tell Sean's parents, did you? And Amy's like, of course we did, Corey. Didn't you think how scared Sean's parents would be, not knowing where their son was? Corey's like, wait, I don't get it. If you guys knew all along, why didn't you bust us? Sure would have been easier on me. It was killing me trying to hide it from you. And Amy said, well, we knew he was safe here with his best friend, who we hoped would help him make the right decision and go home. So this was another tip the hat back to the episode where they let Eric figure something out. And they didn't.
Right? Yes, this is very consistent. You're right. Wow. I didn't even think about that. Bravo.
Alan says, Cor, I know you really like Sean. And Cor's like, you think he's a criminal? And Alan says, I think he has rough edges. I think he's at a point in his life where he can go one of two ways. And I've heard teachers say this about kids. Do you believe in that?
I did. So basically, like, determinism is this theory that, like, everything's already determined for you based on whatever was preceded. So, like, you can say that you made a decision to eat oatmeal this morning, but like you are eating oatmeal because you bought it at the store and you bought it at the store because you went to the store, and you went to the store because of blah blah blah. So it's like that you ate the oatmeal because all of these things preceded that.
Yeah, I don't know. The older I get, the more I feel like we're just like automatons reacting to our environment, and I don't feel like I make any decisions. Like I feel like I just act.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. So they're talking about how his life can go one of two ways. And Corey says, back on my side of the line, or gone forever into cherry bomb land. And Amy says, Corey, Sean has always reminded your dad of someone he knew when he was a kid. Corey says, you had a best friend like Sean? And Alan says, I was like Sean. I had a best friend like you. I remember being a kid and being like, whoa. I did not expect that. But I also think that's so cool, and why this family sitcom is different. A typical family sitcom was a bunch of perfect people making a perfect set of children, and everybody's just good and moral, and maybe the kids are making some mistakes, but the parents teach them, you know, how to stay on the straight and narrow because they are perfect. You know, and so for Alan to be like, I was Sean, I just think that's so cool. Like he's such a real person, you know? So Corey's like, you did? And Alan's like, And when I was about 12 years old, I got into trouble once, and I considered my options. I could hop a train to California. I could start my life at 13, get a job at 14, be married at 15, have kids at 16. I thought it was a great idea.
Horrifying to me. Can't relate at all. Leaving the house at 12, all I wanted to do was play video games in the comfort of my home. What was I going to do on the streets?
But that speaks to the like the privileged childhood that we had, that like
totally.
you felt safe and you could just go home and play video games, you know?
Yeah. And Corey feels so safe too. He doesn't want to do that.
I thought it was interesting that the writers still put into his character's past that he wanted to get married and have kids. At 12, he was thinking, all get married and have kids. Like the last thing I would ever think, if I'm alone in the world, the last thing I'm thinking is, let me make some people that are now dependent on me. So now I don't only need to make money for myself, I need to make money for these kids that I have to take care of.
I wonder what the correlation is between that and him growing up with a mother who was a Rolling Stone.
Oh, good point.
She loved her son, and I think like in general he had a loving household, but it was problematic for sure. And I would not be surprised if he was like, I can't live like this. If I have a family, I will be there for them.
You are so right. That's a really good point. Wow. This writing is so good.
So good.
How many times have I said it? Drink every time I say that.
Okay.
Corey says, sounds like a dumb idea to me. I am Corey. Alan says, oh, so you think so, huh? And Corey says, yeah, just because you make one little mistake, you don't want to throw your whole life away. And Alan says, you see, guys like you and my best friend Richie, that's the way you think. Guys like me and Sean, we don't think like that. Alan says, listen, Sean's going to get in touch with you. Corey says, what should I do when he does? And Alan says, a kid like you, you'll know. Beautiful. So beautiful. So empowering, I think, for a kid to hear.
It's so empowering, and I think Corey's face said it all at the end. The way that he looked at his dad and the little smile of like, thanks, Dad. Very well done on the actor's part.
So we're in the classroom now, and it's nighttime, and it's raining, and I don't know about you, but I was like, why does the classroom look so weird right now?
Okay, before we get into the serious stuff of this scene, I just want to say, have you ever like wanted to go into your classroom in the middle of the night because it's not daytime and it's just different? I've always wanted to. There's something about it, like during like parent-teacher conference when you're there and it's like 8 p.m. and you're in your classroom and it's pitch black and you're like, oh my God, where am I?
All the time. I'm crazy. I'm a workaholic. I stay there really late.
But as a student, it's different because you're only there when it's sunlight, and then you're there at night, and you're like, "This is a different room.
These walls aren't so powerful."
Yeah, exactly.
Feeney walks in. Sean is sleeping under Feeney's desk. How he got into the school, we're never gonna know.
Unimportant.
So Feeney, clearly seeing Sean under there, goes, "Well, I guess the room is empty. What a perfect time to set fire to my desk."
And Sean immediately is like, nope.
What, Corey told you I was here? Did he rat on me? Feeney says, on the contrary, Mr. Matthews has been a true and loyal ally. If anybody has betrayed this friendship, it was you the moment you asked him to lie. I kind of appreciated that all of the adults around Sean were giving him a hard time.
Yeah. It's his lesson this time. And
like,
Corey's, but it really is Sean's lesson.
Yeah. But also I wanted them to like break up a little piece of that and just bloop, pop it into Morgan's mouth.
She is not safe in any episode of this show.
You know, leave it to the women to be like, girl meets world. Come on, girl. Step it up. Learn some
Amy's
lessons.
too nice. Yeah, she raised 2 boys. She's like, I'm done. I know how to parent. No, she needs to learn how to parent a daughter.
A daughter.
A daughter.
A daughter. Are you kidding me? You traded my necklace for a plastic one?
Yeah.
Girl.
Ooh, I'm not over that.
No. You broke the window. Don't
no
throw
lessons
your
learned.
dolls. You melted your Barbie doll. Don't put your dolls in the toaster oven.
Mm-hmm.
She's never been told, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Stop throwing the vegetables in the garbage. If my kid did one of those things, they'd never do the second one. So Sean says, Mr. Feeney, about the only thing I'm not worried about in my life right now is Corey and my friendship. Okay, so Feeney reaches down and grabs a roll of canvas. So random. This was a little bit of a stretch for the writers, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it either, but it's like, why is he painting at work? Here's my theory. I think he's like, as he said, he paints on the weekends, and he's a teacher. He's on a teacher salary. He could probably got the canvas from the art studio for free and put it in his desk, and he had every intention to bring it home, and he forgot it. So he came on the weekend to get it. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
You should be a writer. That is accurate. That's totally, I was like, yep, I'm there. I would do that. 100%.
Yep. You would do that,
leave it, and I would come back for it.
You would leave it And you would get so into it on the weekend of like, I really want to paint right now.
Yep.
And you would walk a half hour just to get this canvas so
In
you
the
could
rain.
paint. In the rain.
I would.
You are Mr. Feeney and Corey at the same time.
Totally am. So Phoenix says canvas, very strong material, difficult to rip. Mr. Hunter, once the integrity has been breached, even the strongest fabric can unravel. Even the strongest friendship.
I think his message was Sean might not see this as a big deal and he sees it as like his friend is just backing him up. But Mr. Feeney's trying to say that this is actually a big deal and what he's asking Corey to do is a big deal. And he also understands that Corey actually doesn't really want to do this. He learned throughout this episode, like, I don't really want to defend you over this. Like, I don't want you to be a fugitive.
Yeah.
Now that he knows what it is. And so that is causing a rift.
So he takes the piece that he ripped off and he gives it to Sean and he says, yeah, well, here, have a bandana. Which back then would have been a gang thing. So I think he was low-key calling him a criminal. Corey walks in. He sees Feeny and he goes, oh, it's not Monday?
It's the middle of the night. Oh, it's not Monday. God, I love it so much. It's so funny.
So Sean asks Corey if he brought the stuff, and Corey hands him a bag, and the bag is empty. And Sean's like, how about some money? Can I borrow your bike? Corey's like, actually, I got a ride here from your mom and dad. They're parked outside. And Sean's like, forget it. I'm not going home. You don't want to help me? That's fine. I'll sneak out the back. Get out of my way, Corey. And he starts getting aggressive with Corey. And he's like, or else what? You'll hit me? Fine. Go ahead. Wipe the floor with me. And Sean's like, Corey, just get out of my way. Corey's like, no, you have to go home, Sean. You can't run away. Sean's like, yes, I can. Just get away from the door. And Corey says, Sean, I'm not moving. I want you to come back on my side of the line. The way he said that was with such depth of understanding of what he was saying. This kid is unbelievable. And I love that Sean doesn't even ask him what he means. He just goes, how am I supposed to do that? Like, what a friendship. Sean's like, my parents are going to ground me for like a year. And that's when I was like, this is where I think they were trying to keep it light. Because I almost feel like I could see the original line being like, my dad's not like your dad. I'm going to get hurt. But I feel like someone probably stepped in and was like, let's not go there with this. And Corey's like, well, then I'll see you in a year. Again, I was like, Corey, you're being a little bit like naive, you know?
I think that is what Sean needs in that moment.
You're so right. I think I'm coming from a place of kind of assuming that Sean is being abused. And like a year of being grounded when you're in an abusive home means a year of not being able to escape from your abusive household or your, you know, your household where maybe there's food insecurity or there's other things happening in the household that like you being able to get out of that house sometimes is literally life-saving for you. Or you being able to spend time with Corey's family is extremely important for your mental health, you know? So that's why when Corey was like, then I'll see you in a year. If I could rest assured that Sean was in a comfortable house and he was being grounded, I'd be like, all right, yeah, like see you in a year. So Sean's like, man, I'm going to get so killed. And Corey says, yeah, well, we're only 12. We live again. So then we get the button on the episode. We're in the living room and Amy's at the desk on her computer. Alan's on the couch intently watching a game. Morgan's playing with her dolls on the floor. Corey's on the couch too. There's a knock on the door. So Corey goes, what day is it? And Amy goes, the 19th. And Corey goes, it's Sean! Ah! And he opens the door and Sean and Corey do their incredible handshake that you and I are going to learn and put on the gram when I see you next. And Corey's like, a whole month, how are you? And Sean goes, oh, not too bad. My eyes are still trying to adjust to the light, though. Corey goes, are you hungry? Like he hasn't eaten that whole time. So sad. And Sean goes, nah, they gave me bugs with my potato today.
A little protein.
Alan's like, I hate to interrupt your touching reunion, but there's 1 minute left in triple overtime. And Corey goes, come on, Mom, you got to see this. And Mom goes, okay, I've got 5 more numbers to enter on this spreadsheet and then I'm done. And I was like feeling it. The writer in me was like, something's going to happen because everyone's got like 1 second left in something. And then what's going to happen? And Sean goes, oh, TV. Hi. And he like hugs it. And then Eric comes in on the phone and he's like, Dawn, I know I've asked you out like 50 times and I know you said no like 50 times, but you got to respect my willingness to get shot down. You will? Right now? Okay, where should I meet you? Boom. Power goes out. And we're in pitch black. And we just hear Corey like, what happened? And Eric's like, I had her. And Alan's like, the game. And Morgan's like, Barbie's hair. And Amy's like, I didn't save. And that was the one that I cared about.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Amy's like, Alan, didn't you pay the electric bill? And Alan's like, of course I paid it a month ago. I put it in the mailbox right outside my store. And Amy's like, on cherry bomb day? And then the last line in the episode is Sean opens the door and goes, good night, everybody, and leaves.
Oh, incredible.
Fantastic episode from beginning to end, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. My takeaway for this episode is a reminder of how important friendships are to keep you on the right side of the line, making sure that you're kind of like on the good side of life. I'm using air quotes here. And also how important you as a friend can be to somebody who might be struggling with that. I think this is such an interesting episode to address this topic. And I think this happens so often in childhood friendships. And I'm so happy they addressed it.
I think that's definitely one of my takeaways as well. My other takeaway is just it's really important for your kids to feel like your home is a safe place for them to be. I'm just reminded of the importance of parents being really open and honest with their kids and allowing their kids to make mistakes. Again, I guess I'm just having like the same kind of takeaways I had in the past. Like just, I love the way that they gave Corey some space to make the right decision and do the right thing and learn his own lesson. Alan told Corey that he used to be like Sean and that he trusted his son and said, I know you're going to do the right thing because you're a good person. You know, like just, I'm just so in awe of this fictional family and their parenting. I just think it's so real and so beautiful. And it's just reminding me of, you know, just trusting in kids' better angels. Kids kind of parent each other, you know, kids raise each other. And Corey is such an important influence on Sean. This is something that comes up a lot in my school, like parents being wary about who their kid is hanging out with. And I get that because it's real. Kids change when they're around different groups of people. I've seen really nice kids become really mean when they're around kids that they think being really mean is social capital for them in that moment. Like it's crazy. We really are much more malleable than we think we are, you know, especially at that age when we're trying to figure out who we are. And I think it's really beautiful that Amy and Alan let Corey hang out with Sean. Like, you know, they're like, oh, we know you like Sean and, you know, you've been best friends ever since he showed you how to pick the lock on your crib. That shows so much trust in their kid that they let their kid hang out with this fugitive, this criminal, and don't just think about, I don't want that kid to rub off on my kid. They're thinking my kid could be a really good influence on this other kid. Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the extra mile right there. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's going really above and beyond.
But you have to know your kid, right? Like Corey is such a cardinal force. Like he really is fixed. He is who he is. And I don't really see him getting super influenced by Sean in a bad way. Like I think he will always kind of be the kid that can't lie and the kid that, you know, just has the heart of gold.
It helps that at least Alan can relate to Sean. He understands him. Yeah. So he understands that there is potential for change. And so he's less afraid of his kid being friends with him because he's like, I am that way. Like, I get it. I'm not afraid of it.
If I created a human, I think I'd always be coming from a place of like, you got my blood in you, so you're going to be like this, you know? And Alan doesn't think that about Corey. Like he can see that Corey is Richie. Like Corey is not himself, you know? Morgan, on the other hand.
She's not safe.
Well, that concludes the episode. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you heard, rate 5 stars. Follow us on Instagram at Boy Meets World Podcast. We also have a Spotify playlist, so check that out. The wine we had today was called Adam
Puchta
from Missouri. And next week's episode is Season 1, Episode 18, It's a Wonderful Night.